So I am definitely loving being in this tent. It's kind of like an army tent. I saw a pink one last winter, and I was thinking of getting it because I like the idea of maybe using it to kind of like keep a small area warm. It'd be easier to heat if it's warm, so I could have like a fire in here and then try and keep the heating. But yeah, it probably isn't going to work. But yeah, my plan is to just use it for a couple of days and then give it to Leo. Perhaps it's a Christmas present. I don't know. My sister is on holiday, visiting where Leo's father had some land. He owned a small plot of land, and I guess they wanted to see it. Apparently, there was supposed to be a house on it, but it's already been knocked down. But if it was unsafe, then technically maybe it's a good thing that's been knocked down, because if it needed to be knocked down, then maybe it's better being knocked down, because then you don't have to pay to knock it down. If someone else is willing to knock it down, then maybe that's I don't know. But it was run down, and yeah, they showed a different property last week, which was much bigger. Okay, it looked like it was shit inside, like maybe a barn inside, but on the outside it looked quite nice. And I was kind of like, oh, that's really nice. But it turns out that that's not actually the house that is supposed to be owned. That it was a different one, and apparently it's been knocked down in the last few days. Anyway, Leo might in Madeira. This is. Land apparently just goes straight to the children, and because he died and he does have a child, Leo, he's basically inherited this land, but it's just a plot of land that has like long grass and isn't maintained or looked after, but it's got a nice view and you can see the sea from it. So good potential. If he wanted to become a builder in 18 years time, he would probably, that's a nice plot of land to work on. So it'd be nice for him to inherit this to see if he can do it up, but yeah, it will be a long time before that happens. But at least because there's nothing nice on it, there's nothing to like look after or something. So but yes, I've got a few pages that I want to make online. I guess I want to make a page about the Muslim versus non-Muslim war. I feel like there's a Muslim versus non-Muslim war going on, and I think how the Muslims see it is they see the caliphate and the Muslim in Islam as being very, very powerful, and because there's a lot of people that worship power and control, they want to worship the religion that has the most support. Now, if there's 2 billion Christians and 2 billion Muslims and then lots of other things, and if they just don't believe that Jesus is God because of whatever reasons, they're probably going to reject Islam, reject Christianity, and then the next powerful one is that Islam. So maybe that's why a lot of people have chosen it, because they see the strength and power of the collective. There's lots of them. Even though a lot of them are only kind of like calling themselves Muslim when really they don't pray 5 times a day, and they don't really know what's going on in the Quran. They don't really know what Muhammad was like or anything about him. There's probably loads of people that just say I'm Muslim just because they were from a Muslim family or whatever. But yeah, I feel like if you actually learn the teachings, you will learn that Muslims see non-Muslims as infidels. Now, if you saw the war of Muslims versus non-Muslims, non-Muslims have the power. All the non-Muslims are the ones that have the most weapons, the most biggest weapons, and if I think Islam likes the idea of lots of religions fighting against each other. Why? Because it kind of breaks up. If 1/4 of the world is Muslim and 3/4 of the world are other things, if these other things are all fighting and arguing, oh no, this is the religion, no, this is the religion, no, this is the religion, then it kind of takes power away from the fact that more people do not believe in Islam than the idea that more people do believe in it. And Muslims as a very big group, are strong. But if it was actually a war of Muslims versus non-Muslims, then suddenly Muslims are not the most powerful one, non-Muslims are. And because the teachings of Islam is about, anyone who rejects Muhammad's teachings and does not agree with them and does not live by Sharia law, they're bad people who deserve to die. There is that element of their religion. And, I know I wouldn't trust an Islamic company. Now, this is not me saying you don't have to. This is just me saying I know that there's some evil in this religion, and I would not, if I had £1 million, I would not want to put it into an Islamic company, because I would be afraid that if there was a day where I was asking for it back, they might just say, right, if we kill this girl, then we get to keep her £1 million, and therefore, by investing into a Muslim company, I would feel like I would actually just be putting a big, come kill me, and you don't have to give me this money back, and because I have a fear of Islam because of the teachings in it, and because I don't veil, if Islam, if Islamic people see that people who don't cover up as sluts, if I'm called a slut for not hiding my shoulder, then if I was to invest in a company and then in a few years' time ask for that money back, I wouldn't want them to think, oh, she's a slut. She shows her skin. She doesn't cover up. She's not a modest woman. Therefore, we don't have to give it back. A part of me, an element of me, would not want to invest in any Muslim company because of the fear that if I do give them money, this topic has come alight because my friend said that he's invested in the Line project, and I'm not saying that it's not the truth. I'm not saying that it's not. I don't know what's going on, but I didn't know anyone with money. Hence, I didn't know what kind of people be investing in this, and I didn't know if it was. I haven't done any research. I've done absolutely no research, but him saying that just made me think, well, if I had £1.8 million, I would not be investing it in an Islamic country, because I'd feel like if I was to ever try and get it back, they would just say, you don't follow Sharia law, you're not a Muslim, you don't support Muhammad, therefore we have no problem with killing you so that we don't have to give you the money back. That's what I would be fearing. And I guess him saying that just made me fear for him. Does he not fear that if he tries, maybe he's met these people, maybe he's knows what to trust, that maybe he's done good research. I don't know. I can't say about that. But after that, I've been seeing lots of investment plans, to invest in Dubai, in lots of real estate and stuff like this, and a lot of it, anything that has anything to do with an Islamic connection. I think about the religion, and I think about how the religion hates women, and that it's not going to work in my best interest, so I wouldn't want to invest in it. Now, if there are lots of other people feeling the same way and not wanting to invest in anything that has any ties to Islam, then surely any country that has ties to Islam might actually be losing out on investments. There are plenty of people that have money and want to make a good investment. Now, if they're afraid of Islam, and if they're afraid of the Islamic teachings, and they're afraid that if they were to invest and ever try and get it back, they won't get it back because the people who they gave the money to sees them as infidels and might kill them. This is going to prevent them from being able to get lots of investment. When it comes though to Muslims, they'll be easily able to get lots of investment because Muslims tend to trust other Muslims. And if there's lots of Islamic people or just Muslims in general who practice praying five times a day and they invest, I'm wondering, does this company know about me? Does this company know about the future? Does this company know about the collapse that I want to create? I'm God, and I designed Islam to be full of flaws and full of faults, because when a war breaks out, I know which ones I'd want to go the most, based on their choices, based on things that they became ignorant over, and therefore, if a lot of these people, I don't know if they're rich or not, but if they have investments in certain projects and they die, it would be very hard to get this investment out if they're not alive, if their families are not alive, if their families don't even know. If I did invest in some random company, how would my parents even know if I don't actually tell them? I mean, I guess I could have a piece of paper that says this, but if these people try and claim it, they could just say, oh no, we gave the money back and that's just an old piece of paper. They could say all sorts of things, and this has just got wheels ticking in my head. I'm not a business person, so I don't know much about businesses or stuff like this, and I know that my Islamophobia would not want me to invest in anything Islamic, but I know that Islamic people or Islamic things, that there's countries that have a lot of wealth and they have got a lot of good ideas. Dubai has loads of, it's a really nice city. I've seen pictures, it looks nice, I've never been there, but they probably don't want people to be afraid of making an investment. They want much investment as possible because that's how they get wealthy and rich, and I think Dubai has done really well because there is a lot of Muslims who want to invest in something nice. This is proof that an Islamic city can do something nice. So I think they are getting a lot of investment, but they probably wouldn't get the investment of others around the world, and this might might not be to their benefit. So they might actually not want to be Islamic. I'm sure there's governments that don't really want to be Islamic, and they want to try and change the laws so that they make it more fair or more right for women. But if it goes against, Muhammad's teachings, they might find that they are killed over trying to change the law that's not to Muhammad's preachings. Now, one of these guys said that you can't change the law if it goes against Muhammad's teachings, because they would see that as an insult to Muhammad, and therefore the law itself has to be based on Islamic teachings, and well, if Islamic teachings are causing lots and lots of problems, then I think even the governments of these countries want to change and want to be better, but they can't, and they're being forced not to by their people, and I guess they have to listen to their people, and they can't make laws. I'd love to make a law saying that there's nothing wrong with an 18-year-old getting a sex change. If that's really what they want, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, if there's some real hate people who hate it, they might attack me for it. Now, if the whole country was full of people that would kill me over a law like this, I'd be like, okay, yeah, no sex change, that's fine. If I was a leader, I would judge my rules based on what the people want. If the people are going to kill me for making rules that I agree with, but they don't, I have to base the rules around what they want. And I think the problem with Islam is it gets people to want sick rules and see sick as being good, and the leaders want to make their country better by making it less, maybe less sexist. I don't know what leaders are thinking. There's lots of different ones, and but yeah, it's a big issue, because you have to make laws that the that's not going to cause too much problems within the society. But if your society is full of people who love these sick laws, or love the mistreatment of women and stuff like this, degrading of women by forcing them in, I met my cousin this no, it's not my cousin, it's my auntie on my dad's side. So my dad's sister, who lives in Australia, and her partner have come over, and we're having we were walking around a nature reserve, and yeah, they were not seeing them in a long time. They've got 5 grandkids. So they have 3 children. They have 3 children. 2 of them, well, the oldest one has 3 kids, and the second one has 2 kids, and the third one has no kids. So yeah, they've got 5 grandkids so far, and I don't know. I've never met any of them. It's weird though, because the oldest one's now 10, and I've not met him. So it's I don't know. It's probably a sign that I need to go to Australia to say hi to them, because I was complaining about my auntie on my mum's side. My mum's sister has children, but yeah, I didn't know that I had a second cousin until he was 8, because we didn't spend 10 years. We spent 10 years not talking to each other. My mum and her sister spent 10 years not talking to each other. And in that time, she had a second child. I knew about the first one. Didn't meet her, but I knew about her. But she had another one, and yeah, it was only when he was 8 did I realise that he was even existing, because that they were that not talking. They didn't talk at all, so I had no clue. I think my mum did talk to my brother, but I don't think he told. Yeah, I think Kathy told her not to say anything to my brother, and then my brother didn't tell anything to her. So yeah, my mum's got a sister and a brother. But yeah, I felt bad not knowing. But with these ones, I do know them, but that they're alive. But I've never seen them or met them. It's just Australia's too far. Australia's too far away. But I don't know. I feel like I probably should go and say hi to them, but I don't have the money to go to Australia, and I don't have anything. But I don't know, Pip contacted me today, and they said that I have been rewarded with Pip. I don't know what that means, and I don't know how much it's going to be, but we'll see what happens. But there's a few clients that I've had to turn down, because one of them was calling from a private number, and another one was calling from a landline, but that's kind of unusual, and I don't even know how they found this ad, because I haven't been posting an ad. I think I have some information on a website, but it's a website that never gets used really, so I don't really know how these people contacted me. And then one other contact was an older client, but I'm just paranoid, with everything that I've been saying online. I'm becoming very paranoid. If 80% of your clients are Asian, you can't do massage if you've got a bunch of posts that are very anti-Islamic, because I don't know who's Islamic or not, and I do not want to be inviting the wrong kind of people around, nor do I want to be even associating with these people in case they are Islamic, in case they are deciding to look on my Facebook. If you're coming to see me, you might want to know a bit about me. You might want to see my pictures or something, so you might go on Facebook and start seeing my pictures, and then you might see a ton of other stuff that will make you angry. So I know that because of all this, I can't do this job. If I can't do the job, then I have no money, and if I have no money, then I'm just going to be stressing out over, what's the flat. I know that this is not going to, I don't know anything. I know that there's a group of people who are watching my videos, and they're going to rapture me off into America, and I'm going to live there, in a sort of safe house, I guess. But the idea, how long, I don't know. Is it going to be another year? Is it going to be another few months? I don't know. But I know worrying about not having money is a problem. And yeah, I have been saying a lot of things today, and I wanted to make a video about it, but I feel like I probably am repeating myself a lot. I saw a video where Anna was just yelling at someone, a news reporter who said a year ago that Israel does not want Gaza. A year ago Israel probably didn't want Gaza, and I think that there's a chance that they didn't. I mean, they might have done. Technically, Gaza wants Israel wants Gaza, and Gaza wants Israel. I can understand both of them wanting the other person's land. I feel like there's lots of different people in these governments and lots of different people in Gaza, and there's probably some people in Gaza that do want more land because there's not enough space in there, and there's probably some people in Israel that wants to doesn't want these. I don't want Birmingham to be full of Islamic pockets. So I'd love for the government to send them all back and keep the ones that have converted. If you're ex-Islamic, then fine. But if you've come here and if you've come here and you're still Islamic, why are you still here? Go back to your Islamic country. This is how things were in 20, 30 years ago. Islamic people liked Islamic laws, and if you want Islamic laws, you need to go back to your Islamic countries and have your Islamic laws, because that's where your Islamic laws are. They're in Islamic countries. Now, if you come here and you start wanting our laws to change, if enough of you come over here, then our laws will start to change, and it's not going to change for the better. It's going to change for the worse. Why have you got Sharia law councils in England? I mean, this is crazy. Sharia law does not match up with civilization and a modern Western world that actually care about women and actually care about kids and don't want just the law of some book that was made thousands of years ago by a terrorist. I don't understand why it's just been welcomed in, and why Islam is being mistaken with multiculturalism. Multiculturalism and Islam are not the same thing, because Islam does not tolerate multiculturalism. It tolerates Islam and only Islam, and it's everything's about converting people to Islam, and this is the way, this is the only truth, and you deserve, you're going to hell if you do not be a Muslim. And I know that it's similar to Christianity. A lot of Christians think you'll go to hell if you're not a Christian, so I know that there's similarities, but Christianity, there's a lot of people have changed, and a lot of people are dropping it, and that they're focusing on the Christmas celebrations and the positive side of Christianity, and yeah, I just I don't want to keep talking about the negative, because I know the more I speak, the more risk I'm putting myself, I guess. But I don't know. I don't really care. I think if you don't agree with me, then there's something wrong with you. But you don't have to agree with me on absolutely everything, because I do not have any experiences of being in Islamic countries. So, well, other than Morocco and Tunisia and Egypt, but I was mostly in the tourist. I did actually come out. I did go into but it was all through a tour group, and we didn't really touch with the locals. I didn't go to Cairo or anything. We just went down the Nile. Did a tour around the Nile with my mum. Yeah, she just winds me up most of the time, so